All right, we are live. So we're good to go here. And Ryan, can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. So today I'm here with Ryan Wolf, and Ryan's one of our sponsors of Life on the Lakes in Bella Vista Lakes. So I wanted to jump on here and ask him some questions about solar. It's something that Nicole and I are considering adding to our home. And Ryan, we met last year, and I really like kind of how you got into the business and what you're doing and your approach to solar. So before I get into some of these questions, can you just give us a little intro of who you are and maybe like how you got into the solar industry?
For sure, for sure. Thanks for having me on. Number one, I've been in the solar game for a little over a year and a half. So in the grand scheme of things, in my industry, it's actually a long time for people. But I got into this industry really out of a love for helping people. I was in the hospitality industry for 20 plus years. Graduated from Northern Arizona University. Traveled the West Coast and the Southeast in the hospitality field, and then COVID struck, and unfortunately left me without a role in the hospitality industry. So we decided to put down our solid roots where I'm from, here in Arizona. Moved from the Florida area. And you know what? It was an amazing journey. I met a great friend, reconnected with him, and he was in this industry, and said, you know what, I think you would be, a good fit for what we're trying to do, and how we're trying to help people. So I always come at it from an approach of just being honest up front, genuine, setting those proper expectations, which is super important in our industry, and just making sure that people are enjoying the product and enjoying the service, and really feel like they're taken care of. And I think that that's something that I bring from the hospitality industry into what I do here in solar, and just making sure that people are well informed, and if it makes sense, then we're green light, and we go and we make sure that they have a great time with solar. And I'll be the first one to tell a client, maybe you want to hold off for whatever reason. Maybe the finances aren't the right time. Maybe the strategy isn't the right strategy. So we need to make sure that we're not just a cookie cutter approach. We just take care of people and do it the right way. So
Yeah, I
I'm
like
excited
that.
to be here.
Yeah, no, I really like that. I like your approach to all this. I don't know if I told you this. I did a little bit of digging, and I found out that my in-laws use Sunrun a number of
Sure.
years ago. They've been really happy with what they have set up. I think they have it on both their main home and
Hmm.
then another property as well.
Yeah,
So
and that's a great thing to touch on too, is that you can have it for a primary residence and a secondary residence, and get advantage and take advantage of those tax credits that are out there for that.
yeah, that's cool. All right, so here's something that this kind of applies to me because I've kicked this around for a while, but I
Hmm.
know some other people have looked at doing this in the past, and maybe it didn't make sense in the past. So if somebody's in that boat, like maybe they looked at solar before, it didn't make sense then.
Sure.
Are there reasons to look at it again?
Yeah.
Like what are your thoughts
Yeah,
on that?
in our territory, and where we are here in Val Vista Lakes, it's SRP territory, of course. And
Hmm.
SRP actually has given us access to a new rate plan called the E15 rate plan that a lot of people aren't aware of.
Okay.
This is a rate plan that is a solar only rate plan, and it is a benefit for homeowners that are producing and or on-site generation of their own energy. And what this rate plan actually entails, and it's just within the last few years that this has come out. So if somebody looked into solar, even 3, 4, 5, even 10 years ago, they didn't have these options available. So with this option, it basically dictates that once you are producing a percentage of your power, we're going to give you access, as SRP says, to the lowest rates, wholesale energy rates, that nobody else gets access to. So instead of paying those anywhere from really 7 cents to up to sometimes 30 cents per kilowatt hour in the summertime, depending on the rate plan, you're getting access to a rate plan that is far, far less expensive. And we're talking 3 to 6 cents a kilowatt hour, even in the summertime. So these are
Oh wow.
these things that have changed over time, and really a great benefit to homeowners that maybe have looked into it in the past, that quite don't have that correct information these days.
Interesting. Okay. So that's called the E15 plan.
The E15 plan, yeah, and everything is black and white on the SRP website. We're actually a preferred vendor for them, and work hand in hand with the power company to make sure everybody's taken care of, because you're still connected to SRP at every given point. I know a lot of people want to go off grid.
Yeah.
With batteries and everything that's going on there out there in the world. Batteries are definitely an option, and we could touch on that here in a second as well. But we want to make sure that SRP is really a companion in the whole entire process as well, and they're signed off and everything is checked and dotted, and everything looks good.
Got it. That's good. Um, so what would you say are, because some people do this and everybody, there's different motivations for solar,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Truly.
but sometimes people are like, hey, can I save money by going solar? What would you say are some of the typical savings that a homeowner sees when they move to a solar plan?
True. There is right now, on average, for every single home that I've done since I've done this solar program, it is right now on average a 30 to 40% savings, depending on your usage. Everybody uses power in a different way. Now, to put it in perspective, a family of six and a two-story, four-bedroom house is going to use a lot more power than that same family in a two-bedroom house, and or vice versa. The house size might be smaller, but the house might be bigger, and you're still using less energy. So we really tailor make the approach and the solution to each individual power user, each individual bill, if you will. So as far as that benefit, again, it's not just an approach that is it's one way. It's not just, it's a conversation. It's
Got
does
it.
this actually solve that problem of, I want to save money, I need to save money on my monthly, and I want to see that savings over time as well. And what we know is that the power companies have to raise their rates every single year just to upkeep the grid, just to make sure that we're maintained and we're doing, we're supplying power to you. So it costs more and more to get that power out of the ground every
Right.
single year. And there's a 5% increase on average every single year for the last 3 years from SRP. We look forward to that 5% coming around again this year. So what we're doing is we're shielding people from that increase in rate by producing their own power on their own home.
Got it. So they can have something that's a little bit more cost stable than just paying the increased rates over time.
It is true. Yeah. So you're going to save money day one. You're going to be in a savings model over the course of a whole entire year. And the way that a normal home uses power, of course, we're going to have the big spike in the summertime with all of the air conditioning, but we're going to see those areas like we have in this year when we're able to overproduce and maybe garner a credit from the power company that we can use at a later date once we use that power.
Interesting. Yeah. So they're still doing credits from time to time then?
There is, yeah. We're not here to overproduce here in the SRP territory. It does not make
Got
sense
it.
to really cover your home in like a spaceship, or to
Yeah.
do 100% of your total energy needs as an offset. Because what that rate plan does is it gives you access to cheaper energy than you can actually produce yourself during some times of the year, all of this time of the year when it's so beautiful outside and we don't have the big energy sucker, the air conditioning running all the time. So there's really an opportunity in the spring to have an overproduction and to have a credit on your bill and even eat into that connection fee that's still there. But setting the proper expectations for each individual home and making sure the system is sized right, making sure that we're actually solving their home's energy needs, and then any other family that might be moving into that home if they do transfer or move eventually.
Yeah, that's a good question. I was going to ask you about
Oh,
that.
okay.
But back to like the money side of things,
Sure.
people wonder, how long does it take to get like a return on the investment, right?
Yeah.
Like, does it take too long? What are your thoughts? What have you seen about that?
That's great. That's a great question too. Yeah, I get that one a lot. With someone who's already been through a presentation before, they know the terms pretty well, and we're at 20 to 25 year terms on the notes on the
Okay.
loans that are based on the solar that we would be putting up on your home. And they just say, well, I'm not going to be around for 25 years. I don't want to have this on my head for 25 years. This doesn't make any sense from that perspective. However, what we have to educate and really agree on in the transaction is that you're going to be paying for power regardless. You just don't know how much you're going to be paying next year. With
Right.
solar, we can tell you exactly how much you're going to pay for the percentage of power that you're using. And that's that locked in rate that does not change. We're not attaching escalators to these. There's no such thing as a lease NSRP anymore. There shouldn't be. You own your home, you should own what's on it. It's the most beneficial way to get power generation on your home. So with those principles attached, the return on investment is much quicker than a lot of people think. Right now, what our loan companies are seeing that are funding these projects is, on average, the life of a solar loan is between 7 to 10 years. Now, that's due to a couple of reasons, because people are, well, nomadic. People are moving from home to home,
Yeah.
either upgrading or downgrading over time. Less and less, as far as time goes on, are more people staying in their home for that long. Now, if this is a forever home that we're doing a project on, definitely they have a little bit more of a palatable approach with those longer terms. As long as you're in the home, you would be seeing those savings. You would be seeing that reduction in your power bill. And then once, if and or whenever you would actually be moving on to the next home or domicile, wherever that may be, you're just transferring that into the next person's name. It's a one paper transfer. There's no pre-qualifications anymore with any of these things. They've made it really, really easy to get out of your solar loan into your next home. And also, what a lot of my realtors that we like to work with, and what they're doing in the mortgage companies, is that they're able to actually wrap up the total remainder of any solar note into the asking price of the home, and have the incoming home buyer pay for that. It comes out of your name. Everybody is happy. They come into a solar powered home, and I know that that's very beneficial to a lot of people moving in from other places from out of town as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. It sounds like there's a lot of options, and there's a lot of flexibility that maybe wasn't there before.
There is a lot more flexibility. Yeah, we're with the terms, with the types of equipment that we can use. It's not just a cookie cutter approach anymore. We don't
Yeah.
just sell box systems. It is tailor made to your home and to your needs.
Yeah, that's really cool. So speaking of which, I know you mentioned this. Who owns the system?
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of leases anymore, right? There used to be a lease model, an own model, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were up to 10, 12 years ago in a lease pattern here in SRP, because of the buyback rates, and how those have changed over time has really dictated the fact that leases don't make sense with the escalators attached to the price plans that the power company have provided. So that's
Gotcha.
really dictated us to move into basically a loan only marketing and market, really,
Okay.
with SRP. And honestly, from my opinion, just in solar in general, if you do have the liability on your balance sheet in the federal side of things to take access to that 26% federal government incentive, owning something and paying yourself back for the power that you're already using is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Really, at a term of 1.9, you're basically getting free money out of it, and you're basically just paying for your power instead of paying a power company what they say they want to charge you, and it's going to
Yeah.
increase. So there's a savings mechanism, there's a long-term investment mechanism with this, and just with everything the way that it works, it's got to make sense, and timing really is everything in these.
Yeah, and that's a great rate for somebody to finance this. Do you guys offer the option of paying for it just cash?
That's a great question. Yes, we do, and definitely cash is still king in the world. Without any dealer fees, financing fees, the cost is far less significant than if you're going to
Gotcha.
be financing a fee. And if you think about just the way finance works and compound interest and things of that nature, you save yourself a lot of money with being able to front load. Basically, you're front loading your investment. You're saying,
Right.
I'm putting an investment into my home, whether it be a pool, AC. This is a home value investment. And what that does is, on appraisal with your home, all of my appraisers are seeing right now at about a 3 to 3.5% increase in home value, depending on how much solar is put up there per panel. So what we're seeing is not only just a savings mechanism, but we're seeing an increase in your home value. And I know we don't need a lot of help with that these days, but still, what we're doing is we're carving out that the stigma of what solar used to be and what it can be these days.
Gotcha. Um, yeah, I think it's good to have the different options, because I know, like, I have a friend who I think when they got their solar, they just paid for it. But it's good to have like a low interest rate option, and then just to be able to pay cash to is
and,
another
and really
option.
depending on if you want to stay in that home long term, if you only want to be
Right.
in there for a year to 2 years, use it as a home value increase. There's the options. People want to have options. They don't want to just be told this is the way, this is the only way you can do it, but to have a say in the process and to have it be a conversation, especially and I know that Sunrun is very big on the customer experience. Our merger with Vivint Solar late last year has just given us a wealth of opportunity in making sure that we have all of the options to be able to take care of really any home located inside of course, Costco, Home Depot. We're partnered with brands that are very meaningful to people. And with the newer partnership with the Ford Motor Company and doing bi-directional charging and all of just the really fun technology that's going to be coming around with that, battery storage, you name it. I think Sunrun is definitely going to be one of the companies that's going to be kind of holding the ball at the end of the game, if you will. I like to use that term.
That's really cool. I wasn't sure if I was going to mention, or I wasn't sure if we were going to mention that, but you guys are in Costco, right? Which is, I think, is a pretty big deal, right? That like, there's a lot of people who shop at Costco, see the brand, and there's some credibility there, right?
There is. There is, yeah.
But,
And there's representatives that are inside of those venues. I don't stand inside of Costco,
right.
but that being the case, we do have the same offerings when I'm in a community that they would have as well, as far as the Costco rebates and incentives and things of that nature.
Gotcha. So if and we're going to share your contact information here on this video and everything, but they can contact you, and it's not like they are going to get some special deal by going through Costco, right?
No, not
I'd rather work
necessarily.
with
Yeah,
you.
we're one and the same. We have the same products, the same access to the service, and everything else like that.
Right.
What you get with me is somebody that's in the community, is somebody that's
Right.
Partnered with organizations like Life on the Lakes, that is Arizona homegrown.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to leave somebody at the door with is, and it's true, is I grew up here, and I really want to use that giant ball of fire in the sky for something good rather than just to heat us up in the summertime. So
Right.
let's use it for some good if we can.
Yeah, and I like that. So there's still rebates, right? There's still incentives
Sure.
for solar. I know some, maybe, I don't know if it changed from last year to this year, but what is going on right now? Like, what incentives or rebates are potentially available for people if they connect with you, this year, next, few days, few weeks, like
Absolutely.
What's out there for them?
Yeah, there is a wonderful tax incentive that it has been around for quite a while. It has gone down over time. There is a federal income tax credit that is 26% towards the total cost of the system, and that is scheduled to go down to 22% next year.
Okay.
So between last year and this year, we have stayed at a flat 26%. That 26% federal government incentive pushes down the cost and pushes it down over time. Basically, you're getting a tax credit for saving money.
Right.
Is really what it amounts to. So if you have the tax appetite and the ability to offset your liability to the federal government by that 26%, you get that back, and you're free to do with it as you will. It is designed to go back towards the total cost of the solar to keep everything nice and low for the remainder of the time that you're in the home. So that tax credit's out there. That is scheduled to go down next year. So something that people want to take advantage of this year while it's still at 26%. Hopefully we'll be able to get it raised back to 30% here sometime soon. There's definitely that. There's also two different incentives that I offer here through Sunrun as well. And that's I have a very generous referral program that if there's anybody, if you already have solar, or if there's anybody who is interested in solar and somebody that I can help and wants to move forward, I'm actually able to supplement them with an incentive of $1,000 for just referring me your friend or family member who needs help, who wants to save money, who wants to use this as an investment, and everything that we talked about before. So there's that. And there's also multiple different referrals and bonuses inside of Sunrun once you're already a customer as well. So there's definitely some incentive to let your friends and family know about what we do and how we can help them. And that's really what it comes down to, is just being a helpful voice of reason and just getting the information to people who want it.
Got it. Very cool. So there's still the federal Does SRP have any kind of incentive still or no?
Yeah, SRP was doing a battery incentive for a minute there. They did shut that off late last year. There's no more
Oh, gotcha.
incentives through SRP to go solar. However, there are other incentives through SRP for doing things like your window screens, for doing other things that are energy efficient in your home. And
Gotcha.
that's something that we can, of course, address and go over once we're in your home, as well as something that I pride myself on is being pretty knowledgeable about what is going on in SRP, what is happening with their rebates in the program. So if it's something that anybody's interested in just getting more information, and just want to have a conversation, maybe not even about solar, but just how to be more energy efficient in your home, that's something that I'm definitely willing to do as well.
That's cool. I appreciate that. So you mentioned this before, but I want to come back to this. So say I put solar panels in my house. What happens when I go to sell my house? Like
Yeah.
you
Good,
went
good,
into that a
good.
little bit, but can you kind
It's
of
a big
touch on
question
that
to
again?
people. There's a lot of people that want to go and want to upgrade or downgrade these days. So what happens is that there's two options. So when you go to sell your home, and the incoming home buyer is okay with the solar being up there, you can either transfer this over to them as far as that solar payment that's still being made. You can transfer that over to them. It's a one paper transfer, and the homeowner that's incoming does not have to pre-qualify for it. So you've already qualified for a house. You're good on the solar. So the
Okay.
solar note just goes and gets transferred into that new homeowner's name, and it's out of your name and it comes off of your balance sheet at that point. The other option, which I'm finding more people are really truly liking a lot more, just for lack of a better term, is the option of increasing that home's value by the cost of the solar that's remaining on that life of the loan. And as a percentage of home values right now, a lot of these solar notes really can't hold a candle to the real value on that home. So what we're doing is we're just increasing the home's asking price for just by the amount of that solar, having that incoming home buyer just go ahead and make that payment when they buy the home, and then that person would then just take the proceeds and pay off the solar note, so that way they're not making an extra solar payment, and then you're out
Right.
of it as well. So it just works both ways pretty easily that way too.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a win-win.
It does. Yeah, it is.
Um,
It definitely is for the incoming home buyer, because having a house that's already solared is something that a lot of people are looking for these days that are moving into the state. A lot of people that are moving from out of state or somewhere else that's solar heavy, they're looking for, well, number one, a pool, but then some of the people also are looking for a solar powered home already.
right. But if you have a pool and you pool pump, it helps to have
Yeah,
solar, right?
yeah, I'll get a lot of that too. Is that, hey, I already have a hot water heater, solar hot water heater, and I'm using it for my pool. How does that work together? And if it's on the right roof space and it doesn't need to be touched, we don't. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Let's go ahead and keep your pool heated. What a whole home solar approach does is it takes care of anything that's electrified in your home. So the pool pump, anything that would draw energy will be connected to the solar system. And another misconception is, I don't want to give my power to the power company just to buy it back at a better at a higher rate. Well, with solar, what you're doing is you're utilizing every single ounce of that energy before it even gets to SRP,
Got it.
therefore getting the maximum benefit out of what you're paying for. So you're getting that solar that's produced on the top of your house directly into your home. That's getting used first before you ever draw anything from SRP.
Interesting. That's I didn't realize that. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So my last question for you is about batteries.
Okay.
So I've heard different things about batteries. What's the current state? What's the current environment for having a battery in addition to the solar system on the roof? What's going on with that these days?
Yeah, that's a great question too. Listen, batteries are an amazing benefit for a few reasons, and will be one of the ways that we're electrifying homes in the future, and taking care of our homes. I mean, honestly, a battery is a lithium ion phosphate battery right now. The majority of them going into homes, whether it's Tesla, Enphase, LG, doesn't matter who's making the battery. They're all lithium ion phosphate batteries. So basically, for lack of a better term, a rechargeable battery, just a very big
Okay.
one that can
Right.
charge your home. So with these batteries come some pluses and minuses. I mean, the plus is you have a whole home backup with the likes of a Tesla battery. You have the ability to back up every single circuit in your home and not worry about power when it goes out, not worry about power when it goes out at night. This is a big plus. Now I can count on, I think, one hand how many times the power has gone out for any significant amount of time here in SRP in the last year. They're a very reliable company. So there is peace of mind. There is peace of mind, and especially with everything going on in the world, there's a lot of people who want that peace of mind. Unfortunately, that peace of mind does cost a little bit more than it did last year. Now, that peace of mind right now, this time last year, was right at around a little under $10,000 for a Tesla 2, for an LG Chem 9.5 to 11.5 kilowatt battery. Those prices increased in the late third quarter of last year, by about 25%. So just a nature of the supply chain issues that everybody's having around the world, supply chain issues with the mining of all of the materials that go into lithium ion phosphate batteries. While they are a benefit, they're a major cost up front right now for a 10 to 11 year life cycle on a rechargeable battery. So really, it's amazing what they can do, and the peak shaving during the summer months, and just being able to save even more and using that beautiful sunlight to charge your battery than to charge your car. It's a real benefit. I just think that right now batteries are something that can maybe wait until we start seeing some reductions in price, because they really have to. There's no way that they can continue to raise the prices on that when everything else in solar is actually continuing to go down in price and to be more efficient. So right now I'm suggesting all my homes with the need or the want to go into solar, to definitely do that. And batteries are definitely an option to add on after the fact. So but batteries are definitely one of the next waves. We just need to get more on top of the supply and demand chain, and get those prices to get down a little bit more.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that makes sense. So it's an option, but maybe hold off right now unless you really want to go ahead and get
right now. I would suggest a battery to anybody who is going to be truly off grid, who might be at their second home in the mountains. These types of situations definitely, I would say, require a battery, because you're so much more exposed to the elements. Being here inside of the great grid that we have here at SRP, we're pretty well sheltered and maintained. We don't get too many outages here, so it's not necessarily a need. It's more of just a purchase price, and I have the disposable income to make sure that I am where I want to be. So that's totally cool.
Okay. All right, cool. That's fair. All right. So how does somebody get in touch with you? What's the best way for them to reach you, to have more of these conversations?
Absolutely.
Actually, I should preface that by saying you and I are trying to introduce you to more people in Bella Vista Lakes, going around, knocking on doors, that kind of thing. But if they want to proactively reach out to you, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Yeah, proactively reaching out to me, the best way to get a hold of me is by the good old telephone, text and or phone call. I am 24/7, 365 nowadays. So my number is 480-514-2669. You can also email me if that's better form of communication for you. My name, ryan.wolf@sunrun.com. And 480-514-2669, text, phone call, good old fashioned phone call works. And, of course, there's the email there too, if you don't want to talk to me yet.
All right, cool. And I will, I'll make sure we share that in the comments when this video posts and everything. So cool. Well, Ryan, I really appreciate your time. I know, like you and I have talked about, Nicole and I are working through this right now. So I'm hoping that we can get some solar on our house. And also help more people here in Bella Vista Lakes. And then you mentioned this, you can help somebody if it's not just in Gilbert, right? Like you could help somebody with solar in different parts of the state potentially.
Anywhere in the state we're licensed to do installations for. APS territory, SRP territory, TEP down in the southern Arizona. You name it. We work with all of the major energy providers here in the state. So in state, out of state. If there's a friend or family member who's looking into it in any other state, I can definitely get them and point them in the right direction for the resource.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, I appreciate you taking the time today to share this with us. I will get this video posted and shared in different groups for our neighborhood and just people in general. But thank you, man. And hope you have a good rest of your day.
I appreciate it as well. Thanks, Matt. Really, really nice to be a part of Life on the Lakes, and looking forward to helping out everybody in the community if I can.
Cool. Thanks. Talk to you later.